fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. I'm home again, thank God. I'm home. Power came back on late this week, and so I am finally back in the house, and feels good to be back home. A week in a hotel room with two dogs laid up in the bed, and of course my wife works from home a lot, so she was on the bed on a laptop, and two dogs there all week. So yeah, it's good to be back home. Now my post office has been without power all week. We've been without power all week, had no lights, no heat, and so it came back on, I think, Friday night late. So tomorrow I'll be going back to work. So was supposed to have been in San Angelo, Texas today. I apologize to those people. I went there last year for their retirement dinner, and James and I were going to go down there, and we had already had our plans, and then this storm hit. James is still covered up in snow, and we were not able to make it down there. I'm just now getting home. Came back, I think we came back Friday. And so, yeah, I apologize to those people down there. We will get down there. But James and I are fixing to get really busy. The schedule, where we're going different places. I think we're going to Memphis this week and talking to my people down there. That's home, Region 8. And so can't wait to get down there and talk to them. So, yeah, we'll be back on the road. Another week down. Another week closer to getting Renfro out of there. And the city letter carrier is taking this thing back over, and I cannot wait. I'm excited. And so going to have a salted peanuts today, cover a lot of things. It shouldn't be too terribly long. We'll cover a lot of stuff, some stuff that was sent in and I found on social media, and we'll do that again next week because I got a lot of screenshots and want to go over those. Have a shout out, which I'll always do first. It says, shout out request. Feeling sorry for all my brothers and sisters here in Branch 3 in Western New York. Most of us are out here every day still delivering as most of the country is shut down. It's business as usual here. 10.5 hours of delivery of mail and packages while there is 3 to 6 feet of snow. Whiteout conditions and sub-zero wind chills. Stay safe, stay warm, and use your judgment. And what isn't safe to deliver. And thanks, Corey. Absolutely, and I thank y'all. I've seen all week on social media people out there, our brothers and sisters out there in the snow, the ice. It's the worst that I've seen it in my lifetime. Nashville was destroyed. My neighborhood was destroyed. And so we delivered packages the other day, and that's all we could do because there's no light in the station. Nothing. And so we had so many packages. A few of us came in and delivered packages. My neighborhood that I delivered to is destroyed. Trees, the amount of trees in houses due to the ice. And so if y'all were on my social media, y'all saw that. I had those videos up. You could just hear it. I said it sounded like King Kong walking through the forest. I mean, it was just trees constantly snapping. And so, yeah, it's a terrible thing. The entire country just about affected. So it lets everybody understand the importance of us. We're an easy sell. The city letter carrier is an easy sell to the American public. It's just unfortunate that our bonehead president can't sell us to anybody he talks to. We're always in a dogfight on things. This guy's supposed to be so amazing politically, and there's always these threats. And, we're an easy sell. We're an easy damn sell. And right now is the perfect time to sell us. They show us out there all the damn time. We're so easy. People love us so much. I don't know if y'all saw social media, this carrier, Casey Thompson. I don't know if y'all saw him, but he made a little video showing his post office covered up in snow. I mean, covered. The snow is up to the vehicles and a foot on top of them. The parking lots, nothing's been done to them. Shows carriers behind them shoveling out their own vehicles. And he does a video talking about the situation. And so management, what do? Put him on EP. They put him on EP. And it's taken social media by storm. And, when you look at EP, it has nothing to do with what this young man was doing. Nothing. All this is management getting egg in their face, getting their feelings hurt, and so they're going to put this cat on EP. If you look at the Postal Service social media policy, it has nothing to do with what my man was doing. If you read it, if you read the social media policy, it says you can't speak on behalf of the Postal Service. Hell, I'm not. I'm not speaking on behalf of the Postal Service. I'm making a video telling how fucking inept y'all are and incompetent. And I believe the last time I checked, my First Amendment protected me on that. Now, if y'all want to go further with this cat, if I was him, I'd get an attorney. We're going to go over some First Amendment stuff, right? A freedom of speech, if that's what we're going to do. And so, but yeah, Casey Thompson, and it's taken social media by storm. I mean, he is on everything. And that's why I always say, you got to get out there to the public, man. They love the city letter carrier. They love us. He's the perfect example. Casey Thompson is the perfect example of that. He makes a video. They put him on emergency placement. The country goes apeshit. Why? Because they love the city letter carrier. They love who we are, what we do. Federal government, they'll always have a black guy. You know, no, on either side, nobody likes the federal government really, but the Postal Service, the city letter carrier, they love us. They love us. And I've always said, how you win things at that level, the national level, getting the public on your side. I've always said we should do commercials. Just NELC, do commercials. Who we are, what we do. Man, we could do some damage with that. You know, I know they got these rallies coming up, and that's great, but that's not going to make us a penny because the public has no say-so when we meet in those rooms with management. It looks good, sounds good. I'm not telling anybody not to do it, but it's not going to make us a cent. It's not going to make us a penny because the public, they're not going to be in those negotiation rooms with the all-time worst negotiator, Brian Renfro. He's the all-time worst negotiator. He talks about he's a skilled negotiator. He's terrible. He's horrible. You look at what he did to us this last time, and I know he got all these things on there, smoke and mirrors, and all these committees and stuff, and I'm not knocking them either because a lot of great people were there trying to help, putting in their, 2 cents. But this dude here he's in save mode. He's trying to save his job, his self-preservation. And so I've never seen a worse negotiator than him on all fronts. Politically, the TA, terrible. And so, but yeah, to me, the public, when you talk about bills that we're looking at, that we're putting focus on, that's where you need the public. Because Congress and Senate, those people that vote, we need them out there to support us. And so, but yeah, Casey's the perfect example of us, of why the public loves us. It's taken social media by storm, like I said. And when you get into 16.7, they put him on emergency placement. Under what portion of 16.7 was this cat put on emergency placement? Injurious to self or others? You got your feelings hurt? That's not in there. You got egg on your face? That's not in there. We're just real damn angry? That's not in there. This is punishment. That's all this is. It's punishment. And that goes against the very first sentence of Article 16, right? You can't be punitive with me. And that is the epitome, the definition of punitive, is what they're doing to this dude right here. They're making him a martyr, is all they're doing. And so we've talked, his party and I have talked. We're going to look over whatever happens. And they issue some discipline. We talked about the investigative interview. If they issue some discipline, we're going to take care of that and look at that. But, it's asinine. It's asinine. The complete failure of the Postal Service at every level. It's the city letter carrier who carries this thing. We're the backbone of the Postal Service. And we've said that for years. We're the backbone of this place. And so you're going to take a young man who's just bringing light to a situation, and you're going to punish him. That's all it is. So, Casey, good for you, brother. Everybody in light blue is on your side. Let me tell you, everybody in light blue is on your side. We all are. And so he is the epitome of an injury to one is an injury to all. We are all on your side. And if you need anything, you let me know. And I'll be there, brother. I'll be there. That's my type of shit right there. And so, yeah, Casey Thompson, brother, hang in there, my man. Hang in there, brother. We're going to take care of it. I also saw something on social media that came out. And it's another one of these interpretive issue things. And people were putting this up on social media. You remember the first one was about Article 17. You remember that? Talked last week about them saying that they're going to send that up, the payments to stewards. Barner said it has to do with the payments of stewards and branches. And I was like, no, because branches wasn't stated in there. In arbitration, I'm not going to let you bring up branches because you didn't state that. You didn't say Article 17.4 and payments to branches. You just said 17.4. So when we get in arbitration, that's what I'm going to hold you to. Is 17.4. And that's what we got prepared for. Now you're going to come in here with branches, and that's a new argument. But Barner's selling their story already. He's pitching it for them already, just like your president does. And I'm not going to go off on today. I'm tired. Look, I got home. My front yard is just a disaster with tree limbs. It's full. The backyard, full of tree limbs that have fallen. I've been moving tree limbs all day. You want to talk about tired? I'm yawning. You want to talk about tired? Move tree limbs all day. That's a workout. Now, you can work out with weights. There's a difference. Working out with weights and then doing some hard-ass labor. There's a difference in that. You can bench press 400 and go out there and move some tree limbs. That will wear that ass out. You're going to be sore. That's what I've been doing all day, is moving tree limbs. And so my ass is wore out. So I'm too wore out to cuss. And so I'll save that for another time and to get in people's asses. I'm too tired to do that today. All right. So, but you've got your Renfro, that motherfucker. He is selling the Postal Service's position now, because that's all this motherfucker knows how to do, is sell their position when he talks about, I wouldn't expect too damn much from this agreement. I wouldn't expect a lot. Don't raise your expectations a lot. You got Barner going around, same old shit. We're in trouble. You got business agents going around. We're in trouble. We cannot bring up, a business agent said this the other day, we cannot bring up the OIG report about the billions lost because that will make us look bad. And so we can't bring that up. And this is the position of your union as it is today, is that we're going to sell the post office's position to the carriers. We're going to protect them for some reason by not bringing up this OIG report, by doing away with cease and desist, doing away with an escalated monetary award. We're filing too many grievances. That is the position of your union as it is now. It's not a fighting union like we had in the past. And that's the reason when the CLC gets in there, it's going to be a vast difference. Immediately, a vast difference. We're going to get back to being a fighting NALC. We are not now. We're conceding NALC. We're full of concessions. And so when you have that, you have interpretive issues come up. You notice that these are coming up when, right as we're starting into collective bargaining, right as we're fixing to get into collective bargaining. You're seeing management all of a sudden, why didn't you do this last year? These reports are still coming out, right? The monetary losses were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Why are they doing it now? They know that Renfro is going to lose. They know that he's going to lose. And if there's a time to get anything out of this fat bastard, it's right now. And so you had this one come out last week about Article 17. Now you got this one. It says, in accordance with Article 15, the above referenced grievances were referred to me for review of a possible interpretive issue. After reviewing the matter, the Postal Service has determined there is a national interpretive issue present. The issue involves the interpretation of Article 85F and remedies. Okay? And remedies. The Postal Service fails to recognize that any kind of set remedy in the agreement is not what we're getting the escalated monetary award on. It's Article 15. And that's our argument. 85F may say what it says. When it's typed out, both parties agree that that's what it's going to say. The issue is, When you continue to violate 85F, what do we do then? When you continue to violate it over and over and over again to a point to where it has become egregious, deliberate, and willful, what do you do then? That's where the remedies escalate, right? And so why are they doing this now? Why are they raising these things interpretive now? Does anybody know? I've got a good idea, but I don't want to become one of these podcasts that's just based off of suspicion, right? And we're not going to do that. But to me, they realize that they have somebody that has already been in their corner. The last TA, he conceded everything. We gained nothing. He had all these different things. Remember, all these points. He said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get this, 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 and this. He didn't get any of them. And a lot of people said I'm full of shit. He said that we were going to get a substantial starting increase for CCAs. Did he do that? No. He said that we were going to have an all-career workforce. Did he do that? No. All right. He said that we were going to settle for nothing less than 9%. Did that happen? Yes. Okay, so there's 4 things. What else did we have? There was a plethora of things that he said, this is going to happen, or else. It's a non-starter. We didn't get a 1. He conceded every single one. And so they understand that, to me. Not being a conspiracy theorist, but they understand the situation. They have somebody in there that will bend. They have somebody in there that will understand their plight, take that into consideration. And so you have these interpretive issues coming up right now. Why else would they be coming up now as we're fixing to go into collective bargaining? To me, it's because they understand they got a stooge. And you got all these committees he's bringing in there, all this talk he's doing, all this pointing and waving hands and shit and all this. They understand that they have a stooge in this president. And somebody that has and will continue to concede. Has Barner bought into this shit. Dan Toth has bought into this shit. A lot of business agents have bought into this shit about conceding. It's the carrier's fault. The billions lost. You got business agents now saying, we can't bring that up. That will make us look bad. How's it going to make me look bad? I'm a city letter carrier delivering fucking mail. How is it going to make me look bad that the motherfuckers I work for can't abide by the contract? How am I going to look bad? I just want them to comply. You know it's not bad if I said cease and desist and they did that. You know how much money they would lose? 0, zilch, none. And I've said that. Y'all have heard closing arguments that I've put up on this podcast. I've said that. I said, you know how many times you're going to see me, Mr. Arbitrator, if they cease and desist? You won't see me again. You know how much money I'm going to request? Not a penny. You know why? Because they stopped and didn't do it anymore. That's why. And so it's for some reason, something has happened where the carriers are the bad guy to the union and the service now. Long ago, I said, you got to love the city letter carrier. You got to have a passionate love affair for the city letter carrier if you want to succeed. I'm not bullshitting. That's the remedy of all this, is a passionate love affair for the city letter carrier. A lot of people don't understand that. Corey's in it for himself. He's in it for a position. You got to have a passionate love affair for the city letter carrier. You think I get on here every Sunday because I'm looking for a position? You think I've been paying for this thing myself because I'm looking for a position? I've said from the beginning, before anything ever came up, what? You got to be a sellout for the city letter carrier. You got to have a passionate love affair for the city letter carrier. You got to put the city letter carrier first, and there's nothing second. I have been saying that since the first month of this motherfucker. It wasn't until I realized that my union has failed us miserably. And I continue to tell y'all to fight, keep fighting. Every time somebody texts me, I said, hey, keep fighting. Hey, we're doing this in loss, keep fighting. We're doing this in one, keep fighting. I just became a steward, keep fighting. I just became a formal step A, man. I want to tell you, keep fighting. Advocates, keep fighting. DRT, keep fighting. Even when your union has turned their back on you, keep fighting. Why? Because when we take over, I'm going to need those fighters. In the midst of it all this shit that's going on, rather than stepping away, rather than quitting, you kept fighting. I'm going to need you. I've always said that. If you can do anything for the CLC, anything, it's educate yourself and get ready. Educate yourself and get ready. Because you have dumb fucks like this president of ours, an executive vice president, and others that have done so much damage. So much damage. It seems monumental, almost an impossible task to overcome. But it's not. All you have to do is get fighters. That's all you need is fighters. So, long story short, here's another one about interpretive issues. Why are they doing these now? Why all of a sudden are we talking about escalated? Is it because of the OIG report that they're coming out now saying, hey, it's a good time to strike because you've got a weak union right now. You have somebody that's on our side about escalated monetary awards. You've got a president, executive vice president, director of retirees, business agents. They're all on our side right now about these escalated monetary awards. Can we get something in place now? Get something in place that we can hold them to, bind them to, that when the CLC takes over, it won't matter because we have this binding agreement between the parties about escalated monetary awards. Because for some reason, our union has taken upon themselves to save the service. That's not our job. That's not our job. Our job is to save the city letter carrier from the service, from incompetence. And so I'm going to trumpet the OIG report. I'm going to put it out there, right? So there's another interpretive issue that came out. I'm just going to read I'm just reading screenshots, okay? Because I'm too damn tired to cuss. I'm sleepy. I had no sleep. But CLC, meet and greet, March 8th, 2026, noon to 4 p.m. We're going to be at Branch 14 Union Hall, Louisville, Kentucky. Branch 14. It's got a bunch of us going to be there. We're going to have James Henry, me, Kamitra Simpson-Lewis, Rob Kozier, Pam Donato, David Grosskopf, John Cruz, Walter McGregor, who will be the next business agent of Region 6. He's going to be there, so come and ask him questions. You got Rooney. He's also running for business. He's going to be there. And so we're going to be there March 8th in Louisville. Make sure that you tell the Executive Vice President, Lance Schwede. Lance Schwede. Remember the first time I said that? I fucked that up and he called me the next day and he cussed me out. Did y'all know that about fucking his name up? I said, I'll never do that again. Lance Schwede. All right. Branch 14 EVP. Here's his number. Here's his number. 270-705-0233. 270-705-0233. That's Lance. He's EVP. Tell him that you're coming. We want everybody to be there from Region 6. All of you come. If you like us, don't like us, come. You want to ask us questions? Come and ask us questions. Right? March 8th, 2026, noon to 4 p.m. There's a bunch of us going to be there. Most importantly, Walter McGregor. He's going to be the next business agent of Region 6. And I love that guy. I love his passion, man. When I talk about having that passionate love affair for the city letter carrier, he's got it. Y'all come and holler at him. Ask him questions. What's his plan? What's his ideas? That's important, right? I know that I've been on their business agent a bunch. I think he's terrible. And he's, to me, he's one of those that's a lackey, a good old boy, like Region 2. You got several. I could have a list. Just Renfro ass kissers. And they've destroyed this union. To me, that's my opinion. I think they have destroyed what was once a great union They have destroyed it by kissing this motherfucker's ass at the top. And it's killed us. It's damn killed us. You know, you look at the TA, the things that have been put in place by this dumb fuck at the top. He was not ready. God, he was not ready. And I know that this Region 6 particular is dealing with some things, especially Owensboro, Kentucky, about some formula settlements. And I think the business agent's office is saying that, hey, those aren't precedent setting. Those really don't mean anything, kind of. And I disagree with that. When you look at Article 15, when it talks about formal step A and the language, and I've got some cites for you, but it's carelessness like this that is inexcusable, especially from a business agent's office. First, you have 1517, and I would always put that in any grievance, even in informal. I'd put 1517 in there, and I'll read that. It's something I've always said would be an issue statement. Some people don't think it should be an issue statement. Whatever your region does is fine. We do it down here. We win a lot of cases that cite 1517. Subject to arbitration award compliance. Headquarters is currently responding to union concerns that some field offices are failing to comply with grievance settlements and arbitration awards. While all managers are aware that settlements reached in any stage of the grievance arbitration procedure are final and binding, I want to reiterate our policy on this subject. Now, here's the policy, right? It's a policy. That's the reason I always cite it in my issue statement, because they're saying themselves it's a policy. Compliance with arbitration awards and grievance settlements is not optional. No manager or supervisor has the authority to ignore or override an arbitrator's award or a signed grievance settlement. Steps to comply with arbitration awards and grievance settlements should be taken in a timely manner to avoid the perception of noncompliance, and those steps should be documented. Please ensure that all managers and supervisors in your area are aware of this policy and the responsibility to implement arbitration awards and grievance settlements in a timely manner. Now, here's why. Here's why I say I'm going to put it in every grievance, even informal. I'm going to put it in there and say management's bound by that, a signed grievance settlement. Let's read this again. Headquarters is currently responding to union concerns that some field officers are failing to comply with grievance settlements. Now, is the informal step A of the 8190, the grievance form, if I resolve that at the informal step A, would that be a signed grievance settlement? Yes. If I'm at the formal step A and we agree to something at the formal step A, would that be a signed grievance settlement? Yes. Now, are the parties obligated under Article 15 to bargain in good faith? Yes. So if I come into an agreement at informal A, even though it does not set precedent, it does not, now I can memorialize it, right? But it does not set precedent. But if I come into an agreement at the informal step A level, do I expect management to bargain in good faith with me and comply? Yes. It's in Article 15, right? We have to bargain in good faith. 1517 says what? It is the policy of the Postal Service that you comply. That's the reason I'm going to put it in there. Because I think it says, let's read this again together. Headquarters is currently responding to union concerns that some field officers are failing to comply with grievance settlements. Okay, we've discussed that. And arbitration awards. While all managers are aware that settlements reached in any stage of the grievance arbitration procedure. Any stage. Any stage of the grievance, I believe that's what it says. Any stage of the grievance arbitration procedure. Now, would informal be a stage of the grievance arbitration procedure? I believe it would be. I believe it would be. Any stage of the grievance arbitration procedure. Now let's go to Article 15. Article 15, page 15.1. This is the very first page of Article 15. Page 15.1, the very first page. We're not even going to make it past the first line. Article 15, grievance arbitration procedure. That's the very first line. We didn't even make it past the first line, Mr. Arbitrator. And here's what it states. Article 15, grievance arbitration procedure. Do you know what the first thing is in grievance arbitration procedure? It talks about the first step, the informal step A. That's the first step in the grievance arbitration procedure. It's right there on page 15.2. Informal step A. A. Right there. It's on 15.2. And then we go to formal step A, and then to the DRT, and then arbitration. So if I've got a policy letter, and it states, while all managers are aware that settlements reached in any stage of the grievance arbitration procedure. Now, where can we find the grievance arbitration procedure? I just told you, page 15.1. The very first fucking sentence. Grievance arbitration procedure. So, our final and binding. They're telling you that a settlement in informal step A is final and binding. That's the policy of the Postal Service. Now, Article 15, it states what? That these things, they don't set precedent, right? You can memorialize them if you so choose. They don't set precedent. But if I've got a cease and desist at the informal, then I'm going to take it that management signed that in good faith with me. And if they didn't, I'm going to hold it against them in accordance with Article 1517, the Postal Service's policy. I want to reiterate our policy on the subject. Compliance with arbitration awards, and that's a big word for us, right? We always talk about words, must, shall, and grievance settlements. We're talking about informal, formal, DRT, pre-arbs, and grievance settlements is not optional. No manager, or who? Supervisor. Who do we normally meet with at the informal step A level? Supervisor, right? I believe it says that. Any employee who feels aggrieved must discuss the grievance with the employee's immediate supervisor, is what it states, right? Immediate supervisor. Well, this thing here, the policy says no manager or supervisor has the authority to ignore or override an arbitrator's award or a signed grievance settlement. Is the informal a signed grievance settlement if you settle that? Yeah. What about a formal step A? Is that a signed grievance settlement? Well, according to this, that's final and binding once you sign it. This policy. Steps to comply with arbitration awards and grievance settlements should be taken in a timely manner to avoid the perception of noncompliance, and those steps should be documented. Please ensure that all managers and supervisors in your area are aware of this what? Policy and their responsibility to implement arbitration awards and grievance settlements in a timely manner. So now we'll go back to formal step A, because this business agent's office is saying that that doesn't set precedent, right? It doesn't set precedent. Let's go to Article 15. Let's see what it says. Formal step A. If we go to 15.2, formal step A, E, it's going to be on page 15.6. Article 15.2, formal step A, E. E. In any resolution of a grievance, informal step A shall be in writing or shall be noted on the joint step A grievance form, but shall not be a precedent for any purpose unless the parties specifically so agree or develop an agreement to dispose of future similar or related problems. I'll read that again. This is the formal step A. Any resolution of agreements in formal step A shall be in writing or shall be noted on the joint step A grievance form, but shall not be a precedent for any purpose unless the parties specifically so agree or develop an agreement to dispose of future similar or related problems. Now, how is it that a formal step A doesn't set precedents if this says that they can come into an agreement to dispose of future. That means past the formal Step A meeting. Things that happen after this formal Step A meeting. Do you know what that means? That sets a precedent. That's what that does. For future or similar related problems. I've got an arbitration site. I've read this before. It's Arbitrator Roberts. It's out of Nashville. And management was making this same argument in their opening. And so in my closing, well, JB did a fantastic job for me. I was the advocate. But in my closing, I reiterated JB's testimony when he talks about the formal Step A resolutions. And what was your intent, JB, when you signed these? My intent was that this was going to set a precedent for future similar related problems. And that's what JB continued to say. Even under cross, with it, my intention was when we signed this was to dispose of future similar or related problems. And so it did set precedent. Here's Arbitrator Roberts, and it's C-34731. 34731. And this is what it states. The employer also argued that many of the grievance settlements the union included in the file are informal and formal A settlements, which are not precedent setting as stated in the JCAM. The Joint Contract Administration Manual notes the following language. Formal Step A decision. The parties must make the formal Step A decision and complete the joint Step A grievance form on the day of the meeting, unless they agree to extend the time limit. Copies of the completed form must be sent to the steward and supervisor who failed to resolve the disputed informal Step A. Resolutions and withdrawals at formal Step A do not establish a precedent unless the parties specifically agree otherwise. If the grievance is resolved, copies of the resolution must be sent to the steward and supervisor who discussed the grievance in informal Step A. And that is the language that's right underneath Article 15.2 Formal Step A-E, right? When you look at the language of 15.2 Step A-E, but shall not be a precedent for any purpose unless the party specifically so agrees or develop an agreement to dispose of future or similar related problems. That's 15.2 Formal Step A-E. The language underneath that, arbitrator cited that. Specifically, he goes on, the above language states that resolutions and withdrawals at formal Step A do not establish a precedent unless the parties specifically agree otherwise. That statement speaks for itself, and in my considered opinion, if the parties agree that a cease and desist order is included in a formal Step A settlement, the intent of the parties was clearly to specifically establish a precedent. There would be no other reason to include a cease and desist order in any settlement if the express intent of the parties was not to establish and set precedent. The same would hold true for a Step B decision. So I would use that against my business agent who's saying that all these cease and desist you have at formal Step A are not good because they don't set precedent. It's beyond me that a business agent's office could say that. Maybe I got some bad info. It's beyond me that that would be stated. Here's another one. This is Arbitrator Stanton. It talks about a 28-day agreement between the parties. The union contends a 28-day payment rule has been established by a formal A settlement agreement and subsequent arbitration precedent. The employer denies there is applicable formal A precedent and criticizes arbitration precedent suggests otherwise. There were many informal A settlement agreements in Gaithersburg that referenced a 28-day payment period for agreement settlements. The turning point, however, was an August 6th settlement agreement that included the following language. Henceforth, management will effectuate pay adjustments to the union employees within 28 days, meaning money in hand within 28 days. Arbitrator Drucker referenced this language in his first Gaithersburg award, February 24th of 2020, stating, this arbitrator views this as a party's express statement of a commitment to future action and, as it's set forth in a formal Step A grievance settlement, it is binding. I'll read that again. Arbitrator Drucker referenced this language in his first Gaithersburg award, February 24th of 2020, stating, this arbitrator views this as the party's express statement of a commitment to future action, and as it's set forth in a formal Step 2 grievance settlement, it is binding. Drucker confirmed the 28-day rule in the second award And this is an NALC site. It's not APW. It's NALC. So he's saying what? Being as you wrote it down in the formal step-based settlement, it's binding. There's just two of many. And so I would raise that issue with my business agent. He won't be business agent long. He's got just a few more months, just like a lot of them. And we're going to take over this motherfucker come November. Well, that's going to be the vote, but they'll know by then. But the cowardice in this union, man, is coming to an end. Thank God. We've been dealing with this shit for way too fucking long. And I cannot stand fucking cowardice. I can't fucking stand it. It runs all over me. And we are driven by it right now. And so you got a lot of cowardly motherfuckers as business agents. You just do it. And we've got some heavy hitters coming in. Bill Kriebel's one of them. That's a bad motherfucker there, man. Bill Kriebel's running for business agent. Now, look, he's got a new podcast. If you're in that region, check it out. Going to be Region 12's next business agent. God, they need one in the worst, maybe more than anybody. Maybe more than anybody is Region 12. I can't say that. Fuck, ours is shit. But Region 12, that's where Bill Kriebel is going to be the next business agent. He's got a new podcast, okay? And you can check that out. And it's called Swipe Over to 613. Swipe Over to 613 with Bill Kriebel. Check that out, okay? Now, you got a lot of people coming out of the CLC that are going to be on a lot of podcasts and stuff. Pay attention. And if it's in your region, I know Orlando did his again today, the Zoom. Good attendance on that. Make sure that you're getting on these Zooms if you can. Ask questions. Don't go on social media and say they never answer any questions if you're not asking any questions. All right? A lot of people say, man, Corey didn't answer no. I've been with people face to face, and they've just cheese-ass grinned at me, took pictures with me, yucking it up with me, didn't ask the first damn question, didn't say shit to my face. Get on social media, they don't ever answer questions. Don't do that chicken-ass shit with me. If you're with me, ask me a question. I will answer any question you fucking got. I see one knucklehead on social media all the time. The CLC don't ever answer questions. Motherfucker, you were with me. I put a picture up of me and you. You're with me. Ask a question. Don't be a chicken shit. Hey, look, this union's different now coming up. We're done with chicken shit, right? We're done with that shit. So swipe over to 613 with Bill Kriebel. Get on there if you're in that region. Listen to my man, okay? Because we've got fucking failures right now. We're getting run the fuck over. I'm going to give you the latest numbers on this. This is just to piss you off, okay? Hell, it's going to be Monday. It's going to be a new week. Y'all going to go in there, be just snow and shit and ice. This will help heat your ass up. I'm here at ACE training. Dan Toth isn't here yet, but we were told that 9,881 cases are pending arbitration. 9,881 cases are pending arbitration. Y'all think that's a big number? Pending arbitration? 9,881 cases pending arbitration? That's a big number, right? That's a lot. 43,000 pending Step B. 43,000 cases pending Step B. Can y'all believe that shit? 43,000 cases pending Step B. Astronomical. What is that? 43,000 cases? What are you going to do about it? National. Renfro, what are you going to do about the 43,000 cases? Have you already resolved the fact that you're not going to win and just say, we're just going to kick that can down the road and let the CLC handle it when they take over? Is that what y'all's game plan? Who's over that? Dan Toth is over the arbitration because that was taken away from James Henry. Then they put Barner in there and then took it away from him, gave it to Toth, and it's blown up to 43,000. What's your plan? Does anybody know? Has anybody said anything? Is it just to kick this can down the road till the CLC takes over and say, hey, now it's y'all's baby. I'm going into management. Or I'm going over here to this political think tank. Y'all can have that shit. I wasn't ready, got put in there. Hell, I was drinking at the time I said I wanted it, and as soon as I sobered up, realized I'm not real damn good at this shit. So, what are we going to do? What are we doing with that? 9,881 cases pending arbitration. What are we doing with that? 43,000 pending B. What are we doing with that? I've yelled at this so much, though. Y'all know what I'm saying? I've yelled at this shit so much. I'm glad that we have all these meetings, all these teams going up there to national talking about collective bargaining. I am. It's a good experience for people. I'm glad that we're having these rallies. I'm glad that we're having all this stuff. I'm glad Renfro's pictures on everything, that his face is on everything, that he's taking pictures with naps. He's taking pictures with political people. I love that shit. It's really good, and it's nice, and it makes me feel good. And what does that have to do with 9,881 cases pending arbitration? Is any of that, any of those meetings, any of those teams, any of that shit, how many of those 9,881 cases pending arbitration, how many of those did it resolve? How many of those 43,000 cases pending B, how many did that resolve? You might know. We got to start doing shit that matters. We got to start doing shit that matters. You got a clown-ass motherfucker at the top who has no choice but to go to arbitration. No choice. He is not capable of representing us in a closed-door setting. We've seen that. He got played. And so what are we doing? What's going on? Anybody that tells you they can do it by themselves, be careful. Be careful. Anybody says, hey, I'll just do this by myself. I don't need anybody else. I'll just do this. Y'all look at me. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. I know all the answers. I'll do this by myself. I don't need anybody else. Anybody that does that, be careful. You're looking at Renfro right now. What'd he say? I'll do it by myself. The executive council, I know I'm giving him shit, but all of them said what? He never reached out to us at any point. He wanted to do it by himself. Anybody that tells you they can do it by themselves, you're in for the same damn thing. You're in for the same damn thing. I'm going to do this investigative interview that somebody put up, especially for new stewards. When they're talking about investigative interviews, and it's about attendance, okay? And we're going to go over it. I did this maybe one of my first 10 episodes 3 years ago or whatever. Talked about the investigative interview, how you don't just go in there. What drives me crazy is people that go in there and they answer, yeah, no, yeah, no. Y'all know what I'm talking about if you're a shop steward. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yep, no, yeah, no, yeah. Look, the investigative interview is for the union. It's not for management. They don't care. It's a formality. It's something they have to get through to give you this discipline that they've already printed. So the investigative interview is for me, the shop steward. And that's what I tell all of my carriers. Before we go into any investigative interview, I say, hey, look, this is for me. Be very detailed in your answers, right? This is your day in court. Be very detailed. Why? Because when they hand you this discipline, what are they going to say? The answers in your investigative interview didn't mitigate your whatever. It says it in every discipline. It's the template. The answer, you give an investigative interview, but the answers didn't mitigate your discipline or whatever. It never will. It doesn't matter what you say. You can say, hey, both my legs got blown off, and so my overtime was unauthorized because I was crawling around my route on my nubs. The answers you gave in your investigative interview didn't mitigate. They don't care. They just don't give a shit. So the investigative interview is for me, the steward. The carrier has to respond. They have to give an intelligent answer, Okay? Yeah, no, all that shit doesn't do anything, and it looks terrible in arbitration in front of an arbitrator. If you don't care about your job, they rarely do either. I mean, they don't care either. Trust me. I don't know of any arbitrator that's ever come in there wanting to fire somebody or just takes delight in it. If you don't care, they won't either. It's just an easy one for management. And so when we go in there, we're going to talk to them. Look, they're going to ask you about all this shit, all these ELM provisions. If you don't know them, say, I don't know that. They're going to read it to you and say, are you aware of that? Oh, I am now because you just read it to me. So many times they'll be like, are you aware of that? Yes. I'm going to read this to you. ELMs, whatever. You aware of that? Yes. But I am now because you just read me the damn thing. And that's what I tell my carriers. When you go in there and they read you this shit, say, here's ELM section whatever. They're going to read it. Are you aware of that? I am now because you just read it to me. Or I am now because I just read it. Okay? That's kind of where we're going with this investigative interview. But in the investigative interview, we've already talked about it a few weeks ago. It's our day in court. The shop steward does not have to be a silent observer. They have a lot of protections in that. And so somebody put this up, a damn good shop steward, and he puts these up all the time, which I love. I love that shit. I love when you have people put these out and say, hey, this is something I just got. Look at it. Because it could be coming your way. I love social media for that. When carriers are helping carriers, saying this is coming down the pike at my place. I'm going to put this up there so y'all can see it, so that you as a shop steward can look at it, can learn from it. And that's what I do. That's how 99% of the shit I give y'all now is based off of this. You know, at the very beginning of From 8 Arbitration, I was telling you things that I knew that I had learned that people had taught me. And so now it's just things that come up. I want to make y'all aware of them. Here's an investigative interview. This is an official investigative interview. The information obtained during this interview may result in disciplinary action up to and including removal. This is your opportunity to give your version of the events, actions that occurred from your perspective. You may choose not to answer the questions. However, should you choose not to answer the questions, the Postal Service will have no option but determine appropriate action based upon the evidence of record alone. Your union representative is present to advise you, but cannot answer for you. Okay? So everything that's going to be brought up in here, what is going to be considered? They're going to consider all these things in your day in court, and they're going to see whether or not they're going to issue discipline. 1, the Employee and Labor Relations Manual, the ELM, Section 665.3 states, employees must cooperate in any postal investigation, including Office of Inspector General employees must provide truthful and honest answers in postal investigations. And if it is determined that you are not truthful and honest in answering questions and or you do not cooperate in this postal investigation, you may be subject to disciplinary action up to and including removal from the Postal Service. Do you understand these requirements? I do now because you just read it to me. Okay? 2, how long have you been working for the Postal Service? Oh, about 33 years. Are you aware of the proper procedures for reporting an unscheduled absence? That's a good question. Next. 4, whose responsibility is it to be regular in attendance? Whose responsibility is it to be regular in attendance? Is that, what kind of question is that, really? Whose responsibility is it to be regular in attendance? That's not for me, that's for you. I come to work when I can. And that's what I'd say. Hell, I don't know. I mean, you've not shown me anything. I'm going to get to that in a second. All I know is I come to work when I can. 5, are you aware that you must make every effort to report to work when scheduled? Yeah. 5, has management ever reviewed your attendance with you? If yes, by whom? 7, when was the last time you were made aware of the status of your attendance? 8, do you know the consequences of irregular attendance? And here's where we need to educate our carriers, okay? And we've talked about this long ago. What is irregular attendance? Who defines irregular attendance? Is it the supervisor that's giving the investigative interview? Do you define it? Is it the postmaster? Do they define it? Is attendance control? Do they define it? Is it the district manager when they send out something and say, hey, crack down on this attendance. We have too many attendance issues. Is it their definition of what's irregular attendance? The carrier needs to always remember this is their day in court. It's not management's day in court. It's the carrier's day in court to answer to the charges being brought against them. So if they say, when was the last time you were made aware of the status of your attendance? You can answer that. Do you know the consequences of irregular attendance? What is irregular in attendance and who defines that? What does irregular attendance mean? They will always say, when you're not here as scheduled. They'll always say that. You have to report to work as scheduled. If you don't, you're irregular in attendance. Well, that's perfect in attendance. Right? That's perfect in attendance. And so, do you know the consequences of irregular attendance? I need to know the definition of irregular attendance. And no, I don't. I don't know the consequences. Okay? 9. Are you aware that not being regular in attendance can lead to disciplinary action? What is regular in attendance? Again, what is regular in attendance? I need to know what that means and who defines it. Who defines that? Because the supervisor is going to say, I do. I define it. What is the definition of irregular attendance? What is the definition of not being regular attendance? Because as an advocate, I'm going to ask the formal step A. I'm going to ask the concurring official. And they will never get together. All three of them will give me different answers. Okay? If they don't know, how am I going to know? How's the grievant beside me going to know? How will they know? You don't know. The supervisor didn't know. The formal step A gave me a different answer. The concurring official gave me a different answer. So make sure in this investigative interview, carriers and shop stewards tell them if they bring up a question about regular attendance, ask them what is regular attendance and who defines that. Are you aware that not being regular attendance can lead to disciplinary action? What is the definition of regular attendance? 10. During your employment with the Postal Service, have you ever been disciplined for your attendance? Now, they're borderline 1610, right? They're borderline 1610. They're going to try to covertly get this 1610, underhandedly get this 1610 in there without our knowledge, without our complaint, right? Without our grievance on it. If I've been disciplined 2 years ago and it's been rescinded, what do I say? Yes. Yes, I have. You can't cite it or consider it. But what if you answer that? What if you answer this question? During your employment with the Postal Service, have you ever been disciplined for your attendance? As the shop steward, if I know that it's been rescinded, I'm going to stop that. Okay? Here's what 1610 states. A notice of discipline which is subsequently fully rescinded, whether by settlement, arbitration award, or independent management action, shall be deemed not to have been initiated. Right? It didn't exist. They're trying to bring it back up into existence when they do that. For purposes of Article 16, Section 10, and may not be cited or considered in any subsequent disciplinary action. Okay? So, when you ask me this question, during your employment with the Postal Service, have you ever been disciplined for your attendance? As a shop steward, I'm going to say, hold up, don't answer that. Because if they don't have any active discipline, I'm not going to let them answer that. They may tell you to be quiet. I'm going to say, don't answer that. And they'll say, this interview's over with. That's fine. What you're trying to do is you're trying to circumvent Article 1610. And you're trying to get the carrier to do it. To say, well, yeah, 4 years ago, I got a letter of warning for my attendance, or even had a removal for attendance. It got thrown out. I had a 14-day for attendance. It got rescinded or whatever. Because they're wanting to go into arbitration and say, look, they had this and this, and they just don't learn. They're saying they don't know what regular attendance is, but they've had all this discipline prior. Why? Because they asked this question. During your employment with the Postal Service, have you ever been disciplined for your attendance? Be very careful with questions like that. Okay? That's borderline violation of 1610 to me. And I'm going to bring that out if I know that this carrier has no live discipline, no active discipline, and they start saying, well, I had it. Hold up. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. If they have no live discipline, if they have live discipline, then you can cite that in the discipline you're going to issue. Or you can ask them, do they have a letter of warning or something? But you're not going to ask them this open-ended. During your employment with the Postal Service, have you ever been disciplined? I'm not going to allow that question to be asked. If yes, what level of discipline was issued? Nope, not going to answer that. Are you aware that employees are required to report for their scheduled tour on time? And however you want to answer, that's fine. Here are your PS Form 3971 and 3972s printed up to the last 180 days. Please provide me with an explanation of each of your unscheduled absences from your scheduled tour of duty. In other words, why were you late and or absent on the following days? 13. And I would almost tell them to, let's go one by one, okay? You lay it out there and we'll explain it. 13. Was documentation requested from the Postal Service for any of these absences? If yes, did you supply the documentation as requested? If no, are you aware that you failed to meet the requirement to submit medical documentation per the ELM? No. No. Why? Because I don't know what the ELM states. You didn't cite it. You gave me some ELM provision about my requirement to be truthful in investigation. Anytime they ask me that, I'm going to say no. Okay? Are you aware that you failed to meet the requirement to submit medical documentation per the ELM? I don't know what the ELM states. And as a shop steward, right there on the spot, I'm going to say, I've got my phone. What ELM provision are you talking about? Do you know why? They will not know. They will have no idea. This is a supervisor that's probably in there and ain't no telling what kind of outfit. Probably just got to work from an all-night binger. They don't know what in the fuck is going on. They're on teleconferences all damn day, have never looked at the contract, don't even know where to find the ELM. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. And so when a question like that is ever asked, if no, are you aware that you failed to meet the requirement to submit medical documentation per the ELM? I'm going to say, hang on. What does it state and where can I find it? And I'm going to pull up my phone. I'm going to say, I've got the ELM right here. Where can I go to find my requirement to submit medical documentation? Where can I find that? They will not know, and I'll write that down. Management had no idea what in the fuck they're talking about. That's what I'm going to write down, okay? 14, are you aware that on the days noted above that you failed to meet the attendance requirements of your position per the ELM? Where can I find my attendance requirements per the ELM? It's not stated and it's not listed, okay? You got to make sure that the carriers understand. Don't answer questions like that. Say, where can I find it? Are you aware that on the days noted above that you failed to meet the attendance requirements of your position per the ELM? What are the attendance requirements of my position per the ELM? As a shop steward, I'm going to ask that. Hang on. What are my attendance requirements of my position per the ELM, and where can I find that? They will not know. They will have no idea. Look, you're the shop steward in there. You're not answering for the carrier, but you can say, where can I find those attendance requirements? Make sure that your carrier says, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's not on here. All that was on here was some ELM provision about my requirement to be truthful in investigation. There's nothing in here about the ELM, my attendance requirements, documentation requirements, none of that. So as a steward, I'm going to say, hey, where can I find the attendance requirements in my position? I've got the ELM pulled up right here. ELM section 6. Where can I find it? It's not in 6. They're not going to know, right? So what is keeping you from being regular in attendance? That's accusatory. You're supposed to determine that after the investigative interview. You're supposed to determine that after the we've not determined whether I'm regular in attendance or not. That's what this is for. What is keeping you from being regular in attendance? As a steward, I'm going to say, don't answer that. It's accusatory. Don't answer that. It's accusatory. You're trying to get them to tell you to shut up. They're going to be pissed after you try to hold them accountable on this ELM. Right? So don't answer that. It's accusatory. You're determining now whether we're regular in attendance or not. That's what's going to happen after this is done when you investigate it. What is keeping you from being regular in attendance is accusatory. Is there anything you need from management that we are not aware of to help you be regular in attendance? Again, you've not determined me being irregular in attendance. I'm not answering that either. As a shop steward, I'm saying, hang on, don't answer that. You're saying that they're not regular in attendance because you're saying make you aware of to help you be regular in attendance. You're already determined that I'm not regular. If you're saying that this investigative interview is supposed to be thorough and objective, we've missed out on part of that. We've missed out on the objective part on those last two questions because you're supposed to determine while I'm in here after this if I've been regular in attendance. 17, how do you plan to correct your attendance in the future? Again, borderline, ain't it? Aware that EAP and all this is anything. So there's another investigative interview. Take the lead in there, shop stewards. Take the lead. Make sure when you go in there to tell the carriers, look, if they ask you what regular attendance is, say, I don't know. What is regular attendance? And hold management accountable to that dumbass question. What's regular attendance? Make sure that you're paying attention to accusatory questions, okay? And anytime they say some dumb shit like, are you aware of your reporting requirements or your attendance requirements according to the ELM? What are they? And where can I find it? They will not know. They just won't know, all right? So there's you an episode. There's you an episode. Salted peanuts, right? Ass is wore out, tired, been working with trees. There's nothing more exhausting than hauling tree limbs around. And for about 3 hours straight, I hauled tree limbs around. My ass is wore out, so I couldn't cuss for y'all like I wanted to about some of this dumbass stuff that's come up. But, yeah. Now, look, the beginning of last week, I had a little mini-series, Snow Days mini-series on Act of God, okay? If y'all didn't listen to them, go listen to them. It's a lot of reading. It's a bunch of reading, but it's going to help you with Act of God grievances. A lot of stuff online, too, on social media, too, about Act of God, which is fantastic. We're going to need a lot of those grievances this week, okay? Act of God. So if you didn't listen to them, go listen to them. It'll help you with some stuff, kind of give you the idea of where arbitrators thinking, or contractual language we're going to look at, some step fours for you. So, yeah, Snow Days, when I was cooped up in a hotel. So here's another episode of Salted Peanuts, okay? Memphis, we're coming. We'll see y'all this week. James is going to be with me. We're going to come down there and talk to my people in Memphis. We'll be all over the place, man. Getting ready to take over this motherfucker. The Lions are coming. The Lions are coming. And we're going to wreck shit when we get in there. And I can't fucking wait. The city letter carrier will finally be put back first again. And we're going to handle fucking business. All right? The days of conceding and cowardice and bitch ass are over with. They're over. And we're going to get people in place that understand that the only thing that's important is the city letter carrier. And that's it. The movement is doing nothing but growing. They know it. Other people know it. Matter of fact, I had somebody reach out to me the other day saying that they were in an area teleconference and that management was in there and told them to come in there. And there's the CLC's pictures up, and they're talking about the CLC coming into things that they say they're going to change and do and all this shit. and already trying to come up with a game plan against us. Listen, there's nothing you can do. And I know a lot of managers, listen, I know that. Very high levels know that. Matter of fact, they're telling us that back when HIP, that the postmaster was listening and talking about HIP and falsification of HIP. I know they listen. I know it. And all I can tell you is there's not shit you can do about it, what we're fixing to do. We're going on the offensive when we get in there, and there's not fucking shit you can do. That's the bottom fucking line. And I can't wait. I can't wait to set the dogs loose, get them trained and set them loose. You're going to hear a lot more about that coming up. Make sure that if you're in management to tell other managers to listen at what we're going to do to y'all when we get in there, okay? And I'll make sure you see my face. I'll be in a lot of these places, and a lot of these teams are going in. I'm going to visit all of them as much as I can. I'm not going to be sitting at a desk if you're looking for me. I'm going to be in the field. When my teams are in there, my people are in there fighting, I'm going to be there talking. I'm going to be planning, putting files together. I can't wait. It's a new fucking day, man. A new fucking day. Not going to be sold out any longer. I love you, Light Blue. I love you with all my heart. Okay? It's coming. It's coming. Hang on. Hang on. It's coming. All right? I love you. Talk to y'all later. Bye.